Hey, what's up guys, Will here for GSM Arena. Gaming phones are a niche product, but Nubia has been busy releasing the new Red Magic 6R just 3 months after we saw the launch of the regular Red Magic 6. What's the difference here, and could this be the gaming phone you've been waiting for? Let's find out in our full review. The Red Magic 6R's name is a bit counterintuitive. The R in the name stands for racing, but rather than this being a tricked out version of the regular Red Magic 6, it's actually toned down and cheaper and aimed toward a more mainstream audience. The phone's design doesn't scream gamer, but is far from boring. Its glass back has a metallic finish that's almost mirror-like, with a subtle striped pattern. The decals around the edges are a nice touch, and the flat aluminum frame adds a nice bit of grip. Just like the Red Magic 6, the 6R features capacitive shoulder triggers, which are great to have as extra inputs for your gaming. They're responsive and come in especially handy for racing games and shooters. Let's flip over to the front, where there's a 1080p AMOLED screen with Gorilla Glass 3 protection. At 6.67 inches, it's a bit smaller than the Red Magic 6's display, and here there's a punch hole for the selfie cam, which eats up a bit of screen real estate. Another difference is that the Red Magic 6R has a slower 144Hz refresh rate. This still is super fast though, and to be honest, there are hardly any games that can take advantage of the Red Magic 6's faster 165Hz. We were able to get quite a few games running here at 144 or 120Hz, and you get a fast and responsive 360Hz touch sampling rate too. This display is nice. The picture is crisp and clear at 395 ppi, with deep OLED blacks. There's 10-bit color and HDR10+ support. Colors are quite customizable too and fairly accurate, though they do tend towards bluish in general. And brightness is good here. We measured a maximum of 440 nits with the brightness slider, which boosts up to around 590 nits in auto mode when out in the sun. Audio-wise, the Red Magic 6R is a clear downgrade from the Red Magic 6. You don't get stereo speakers here, but a single bottom-firing one. It earned a score of good on our loudness charts, but the quality is subpar, with poor highs and non-existent bass. You also don't get a headphone jack here, which the regular Red Magic 6 does offer. At least you get a USB-C adapter in the box, so you can still use wired headphones. Waking up and unlocking the Red Magic 6R can be done with the under-display fingerprint scanner, which is super fast and accurate. And you have the choice of 128 or 256 gigs of storage on board, which isn't expandable. The Red Magic 6R has the same user interface as its cousin. It's Android 11 with Red Magic UI 4.0 on top. It's a skin that comes with plenty of customizations, especially regarding the gaming experience. You have access to some flashy themes for the home screen, which betray this phone's hardcore nature, or you can opt for a more vanilla-looking one instead. You also get something called the Entertainment Toolbox. It's really similar to Samsung's Edge panel, and it can store shortcuts for particular tasks or apps. The notification shade looks pretty standard, but there's one quick toggle which is special. It's the shortcut to the game space, as the 6R doesn't have a hardware switch for that. The game space acts as a central hub, where you can find all of your games. There's also a panel here for external devices you may want to connect and control. And you'll find some gaming stats, as well as general settings for the game space interface itself. However, you won't find any game-related settings until you're actually in-game. Here you can swipe twice from the edge of the screen to open a menu, which includes performance enhancement options. There are also display profiles for the colors and contrast. You can access button mapping for the shoulder triggers here too. And there are shortcuts for opening certain messaging apps like Discord in a pop-up window. You can also control screen brightness and refresh rate from here. And there are a bunch of toggles for different functions like macros, screen recording, do not disturb options, and more. Under the hood of the Red Magic 6 Racing is a top-tier Snapdragon 888 chipset, the same as the Red Magic 6 and other current flagships and gaming phones. As you'd expect, performance is some of the best available on an Android phone. CPU scores are excellent, and in GPU tests, the Red Magic 6R is right up there with the flagships. Gaming performance is stellar, and this phone can handle pretty much everything you throw at it. It's not just peak performance which matters when gaming, sustained performance is important too, and that's all about the thermals. Unfortunately, the 6R doesn't bring the built-in cooling fan which was so unique about the Red Magic 6. But even so, the phone has an extensive system for dissipating heat, which includes a vapor chamber, graphene layers, copper foil, and that conductive metal frame. And after an hour of intense stress testing, the CPU was able to put out 83% of its max performance. The performance reduced gradually too, with no sudden dips or spikes. It's not as impressive as the Red Magic 6, which only dropped to 94% in the same test, but the 6R is still solid. The Red Magic 6R has a 4200 mAh battery, smaller than the one in the regular Red Magic 6, and understandably battery life is a bit less here. The 6R scored an endurance rating of 76 hours in our proprietary tests, far from impressive these days. The global version of the Red Magic 6R ships with a 30-watt power adapter. Still charging is speedy. We were able to go from 0 to 62% in half an hour. There's also a feature called charge separation. While you're playing a game, you can plug the phone into a charger just to provide power, without charging the battery. This avoids generating excess heat. Now let's talk cameras. The Red Magic 6R has 4 cameras on the back, a 64-megapixel quad-Bayer main cam, an 8-megapixel ultra-wide cam, a 5-megapixel macro cam, and a depth sensor. 16-megapixel photos from the main cam are outstanding. They're flagship level, with abundant detail and impressive-looking foliage. There's low noise and accurate colors, and the dynamic range is excellent, but not extreme. 8-megapixel ultra-wide photos are uninspiring. You get accurate colors and white balance, and the distortion correction does a good job. But the exposure isn't ideal, and the detail level is average. 5-megapixel macro shots are nice, with lively colors and good detail. That is, if you get the focus distance right, as there's no autofocus here. The Red Magic 6R has a 16-megapixel selfie camera, which takes good-looking and balanced selfies. They have nice detail, contrast, and colors, and above-average dynamic range. Now onto nighttime photos from the main cam. These are quite nice. They're colorful, with good exposure, reasonably low noise levels, and an okay amount of detail. Night mode does a great job of brightening up the pictures, revealing more detail in the shadows and the skies. Most of the blown highlights are restored too. The ultra-wide camera takes surprisingly good photos at night. There's enough detail, colors are mostly preserved, and the exposure is not bad. There is no night mode support here. There's a strange quirk about video recording on the 6R. You can shoot only with the main cam and not the ultra-wide one. The resolution goes all the way up to 8K at 30 FPS, and this footage is detailed and sharp with true-to-life colors and good dynamic range. There are some visible artifacts though. 4K videos are flagship grade, with abundant detail, good sharpness, and wide dynamic range. There's also electronic stabilization available in this resolution. So that's the Red Magic 6 Racing Edition. It has a catchy design, a nice 144Hz AMOLED, fast charging, an excellent main camera, and a flagship level chipset. The thermals are good, the shoulder triggers are great to have, and there are plenty of software options to improve the gaming experience. It's hard not to compare it to the regular Red Magic 6 though, which has a headphone jack, stereo speakers, an internal cooling fan, a larger battery, and more of a full screen experience since there's no punch hole. The 6R is missing all of those things, but as a result is considerably cheaper. So if you're on a budget and don't mind those shortcomings, it could be worth checking out. Thanks for watching guys, stay safe and see you on the next one.